Sweet.
Check. Checkmate. We have Matt Murray in the building today.
Are you starting, Trav?
We can start right now. We can just keep it a little bit more casual for a start.
Was that the intro?
That's the intro.
Better. Give him a little bit better.
I like doing that better than the official intros. It just feels like a little bit forced as opposed to like a conversation. You know what I mean?
You're right. No, you're right. You're right.
You know, one of the things that I love the most about doing this podcast with like strangers, and it's kind of good because like this week we literally have a stranger who are like I've never met before, Pat's never met. Like we're just kind of coming together for the podcast. Is like since like the last 2 years, like I've kind of been deprived like meeting new people. So I kind of love this. Like I have no idea about our guest. We're gonna get to know him. He's gonna get to know us, and then we're gonna have a nice little conversation, a nice little podcast. It's one of my favorite things.
People coming together. People meeting people. Yeah. So we love to see. So welcome back to Slangin The Bizkit. We're here. Mm-hmm. What episode number is this?
53.
53. We are deep in every 53. We over a year.
This actually is our 1 year anniversary.
Oh,
so
look at that.
That's awesome. So our guest this week, Matt Murray, is our 1 year anniversary episode. How does it feel, brother?
I'm honored.
It is a privilege.
I would feel honored too. It's a pretty big deal. Slangin The Bizkit 1 year. That's quite the accomplishment here. So let's get rolling.
So we have Matt Murray, goalie for UMass Amherst in the NCAA, Alberta boy, Edmonton boy, correct? Not Calgary, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Alberta boy. Not drafted, signed by Pittsburgh?
Neither. Not drafted, not signed by Pittsburgh. Currently trying to find a place to play right now.
Okay. So you and I are in the same boat. We have nowhere to play, nowhere to go.
As of right now, yeah.
Yeah. Trev, did you just graduate from D1 Hockey East too? You guys in the same boat?
It was no, it was quite the opposite.
Similar, same but different. Yeah, that's great. I love the background check about Pittsburgh there. That's fantastic. You did go to a development camp for Pittsburgh though, right?
Yeah, I went to their camp after my sophomore and my junior year.
Sweet. Let's start by getting a little background of your hockey career. Obviously, you're a Canadian kid. Growing up, was it a dream of yours always to play D1 in the States, or did you have dreams of maybe playing in the WHL?
Yeah, honestly, growing up out there, like I didn't hear much about the college system. It's definitely grown now. Going back and seeing how many guys are coming out of Alberta for college hockey. When I started, I was just thinking about playing hockey, playing the Western Hockey League, looking at teams like the Edmonton Oil Kings and Red Deer Rebels and stuff like that. Like that was what I was looking at too when I was playing youth. And then I started playing junior A in Spruce Grove for the Saints when I was 16, and then that's when I fully began to hear about college hockey and what all that is, and then start talking to teams and stuff. And you're like, wow, this is completely different to what I've ever heard.
Mm-hmm. Why Amherst?
Honestly, it was just all based on opportunity. When I committed to UMass, they were bottom of the NCAA program, and it was just an opportunity to come in and play right away. I wanted to go to school out east, just with the history and good school programs out, especially in Hockey East. I thought that the education side would be good too.
Absolutely. I was there. I watched you guys go from bottom to top of the league, which was kind of crazy. Obviously Cale Makar came in and he played a huge role in that, but give your little insight on that process, what it was like from going from the bottom of the league to top of the league within 3 years, I think it was.
Yeah, it was crazy. Obviously, when I came in, that was Carvel's first full year of being a coach there, and it was his team. So my freshman class, I think we had 13 guys. It was a massive class, and then it was he was still trying to weed out some things and build a culture and a program here. So it was was very intense for the first 2 years. First year was okay. I think we were a little bit below 500 as a team in general, but we're playing a lot better. And then the second year, we got some more great guys, the current senior class here, and they turned it around. And it's just been uphill ever since.
Yeah, you guys definitely did. I know like John Leonard, like he was obviously lighting it up there too. You guys had some great players there. When you first saw like a guy like Makar come in, when you was he right away? Did you see him and be like, oh yeah, he's gonna be an NHL star?
Yeah, well, I've been fortunate. Cale and I have been good buddies since we were pretty young, both being from
Oh,
Alberta.
nice.
Just a highway ride away from each other, playing with and against each other growing up our whole lives. And um, I remember when he was still in juniors, and he was my first year in Spruce Grove. He was like black acing or like a affiliate call up for Brooks during their playoff run, and we played them in the finals. And I remember seeing him and talking to him about like how he's liking it and everything. And then next thing you know, he goes in and has a huge year in Brooks, and he was never the kid that like that people were always talking about when we were younger. Often it was like the Tyler Bensons and Sam Steeles and all those other guys our age. And then you could just see like it was just exponential. It just got better. Like he had a great year in Brooks, and then came in freshman year. He was sick, and then but he was still young. Like we all were. And then the next year he came back and he was just a completely different person. He was just a dominant force. It was so crazy to see that turnaround.
Because like his first year, I remember, and correct me if I'm wrong. I remember they were talking about like on the broadcast for the Frozen Four last year. Like he had like an all right first year, like not kind of like the expectation what they were thinking he was going to do, and then the second year, like you mentioned, just flipped the switch and he just dummied the whole league. He just waxed everybody.
Yeah, like he was already light years ahead of guys. His freshman year, like he was sick, and then but like when he came back his second year, like he went from boy to a man and was just another level.
Yeah, he dominated that year. Like playing against him was just like he was toying with people. He was just like he would just glide past our D and stuff. I'm like, damn, he's that kid's good. You know, it's sometimes you see those players and you're just like you can't even argue against it. You're just like, yeah, okay, there's nothing really we could have done there. He just did his thing.
Yeah, and it's still happening. Like you see doing the past little bit in the NHL, like every year he's getting better and better, and I don't know where he keeps getting better from, but it's scary.
It's cool to see. Honestly, he's now like he's a top D in the league. Like definitely offensively, he's like arguably the best offensive defenseman in the NHL, which is wild.
Well, like you grew up with him though. So like, did you like when you say like he flipped a switch and went from like a boy to a man? Like, are we talking like a physical? Like you saw him like at the end of one season, you see him the next summer, like wow, like the dude was working out, or like it was just like a mental, like something changed.
A little bit of the physical side. Like he was always fairly in good shape, but he's never been like jacked or like a big body, but like he just came in bigger, faster, stronger, and he just had this mentality that like nothing's gonna get in his way, and he just owned everything.
Was he your roommate when you were at UMass by chance?
Yeah, my freshman year we lived together, and then sophomore year we were just down the hall. We were all in the same apartment building.
I'm curious because I get like you and Pat both played NCAA. Like when you guys like live with a guy, are we talking like double bunks, or are we talking like side by side beds? Like what's the setup you guys usually have?
At school here, for your first 2 years, you're on campus, and we have these like apartment complexes on campus where it's just like hockey, basketball, and then a couple like upperclassmen students from around campus. Most of them are like engineering students or whatever. And then so we have a whole floor pretty much where it's these apartments that are like four bedrooms, like dorm size bedrooms. Are not that big, and then two bathrooms, a little kitchen and living area. It's pretty nice, like to not be in like a full on dorm. So yeah.
So it's like a dorm plus.
Yeah, it's like a dorm with privacy.
Which is unheard of in most college setups.
My freshman year, if you were depending on your age, if you were a younger guy, we had like straight up dorm rooms where we had like the two beds side by side in a tight little box, just living with each other.
Yeah, there were a
The
couple
freshman
guys
year.
my freshman year that had that. They were just across the street or whatever, and in these,
Yeah.
it's like one of the oldest buildings on campus. It was brutal. They had so many issues. It was terrible. It was terrible seeing what they had to live in.
It's kind of fun though, like socially living on campus for like freshman year, especially like everyone's just right there. It's pretty fun. Did you find that too?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Uh,
Like all the freshmen and sophomores, like all live together. So like you're just hanging out with everyone all the time. And I think that was the one thing that I missed the most when I went off campus was
Yeah, definitely.
just like being with that many guys. But like right now in our house we have it's like a house, but they split it into two different like apartments almost. So there's 8 guys in this house technically, but it's like two 4-person apartments, and it feels like you're back in like that same spot because you just run up and down the stairs and hang out with a bunch of guys.
that is sweet. And what year there was it? Was it? I know it was last year, right? You guys won the national championship last year during the what year?
Yeah, yeah.
So I remember hearing. Obviously, that's pretty unreal. That's like the dream going to college hockey. So you got to live that out. But I remember I don't remember the exact details of you guys in the Frozen Four, and you actually had positive cases of like significant players in the team, right?
Yeah, we were just about to leave to go to Pittsburgh, and we had our COVID test, and we had like 3 or 4 guys pop. It was like one of our top 2 line forwards, a grad transfer that we had, and then our other 2 goalies, Fili Lindbergh, and then our other guy Henry Graham. So there's a few guys out when we went down, and the whole like quarantine thing, it worked out that if we won the semis, they'd be able to come and play for the finals. So yeah, it was a little bit of a panic mode, but
You got the start though, right? You were still in,
yeah,
and
yeah,
you pulled through for the boys. Hell yeah! Did you play in the final or the other goal? The other goal.
to Lindbergh for the finals.
I mean, that's awesome. What was that experience like? Then like after all that like adversity, and then finally like lifting the trophy. What was that experience like?
It was awesome because it's like when you reflect on things of like what I said earlier, like I came to this program when it was ranked 59th out of 60, and like just there was just so many issues, so many cracks, and it was a mess. And then to be able to be part of a rebuild like that, and to get to that spot where you reach the pinnacle of exactly what you guys are trying to do, it was crazy. It was yeah. So I'm still lost for words to think about it sometimes.
I'm sure. I didn't get anywhere close to that, so I'm living it through you.
I'll never forget. Fun story playing against you guys. It was my freshman year. We lost. I think it was we played Friday, Saturday at your guys' place. We lost Friday, and Saturday we did a morning skate, and our coach put us on the line in morning skate to skate for penalties. So every penalty we had to do a board rush.
Wow.
Everybody had to do it, and then I think we still ended up losing, or might have pulled something like
That's unreal.
How many penalties you guys have?
that. That game, there was, unfortunately, I think it was probably like 8 or 9. It was enough to
Be a tiring skate. That's a tough one. Good.
You
for
learn
us.
fast though when you're doing that though, no?
yeah.
Goalie skating too, or goalie
Oh, yeah,
skate?
everybody.
I'm curious, like goalie to goalie, like what do you think is worse, doing like the player skating, like when they're doing like their board, skating, or they're doing it in like circles, or like an actual like a goalie bag skate?
Oh, I don't know. I think like with the goalie bag skate, like when you're just ripping like shuffles and T pushes and all that, like up and down to the blue lines and stuff, like you get bagged quick. The worst part, in my opinion, is like when you do the player skates, and like if they're doing like the lightning skate or whatever, where you have to like, hit every line. It's the stops and starts, because they're just ripping the stops. It's the 2-foot stop, quick transition, crossovers, and as well as I do, it's pretty hard to do that in goalie pads. So it gets awkward. You get left behind, and it's like just looks bad.
It's kind of like driving like a manual versus like an automatic car. Like you go automatic, you start, you stop, no problem. But if you do the manual, Like you come to the stop sign and you got to just like punch it back in. Like it's a lot of extra work, especially when you're carrying that extra like 75, 100 pounds of gear by the time you're all said and done.
Yeah, yeah. Like I always joke about that to some of the guys. Like I'm like, yeah, I might be like 190 right now, but my playing weight's at like 230 once you put all my equipment on. Like I'm definitely not lean on the ice.
Yeah, I think even 230. So that's about yeah, like 40, 50 pounds, give or take. By the time you're all said and done, add sticks, add pads.
And then by the end of the game too, when everything's sweat locked, it's probably a little bit more.
Yeah, at least. I remember weighing in. No, I'm not a goalie, but because we weirdly had a power outage or something, so we were all in our equipment just waiting for the game to start, and I was like, I'm gonna step on the scale, and I didn't have skates on, and I'm normally like 195, and I'm pretty sure I was like 215, and that's without the skates, and that's player equipment, so I can only imagine like a goalie is probably like double.
Yeah,
for sure.
Definitely not light.
No, heavy.
And everything soaks up the sweat too. Like at least I feel like with the player stuff, like your chest pad, like there's like some spots to like breathe, and I guess sweat could like kind of wick off and hit the ice. But like as a goalie, like everything is stuck, you know?
Yeah, I feel like with players, it's just pants would soak up everything.
Yeah. Well, maybe the shin pads too, because you get the socks on so tight, and like the helmets, like the visor, you get like the wipe, like you get like the towel, but like as a goalie, you don't really have that option unless you're going for like a commercial break or like for a timeout or something, you know?
Yeah. Or have you ever? Do you wear a Bauer helmet?
I do, yes.
With how bad the foam's soaking all the sweat.
Oh, dude, I did I did I did an Instagram reel. I think back in October. Like I think we played two like back-to-back games or whatever, and then like the next morning I came for like a morning skate, and I forgot to like turn my helmet around, so like it was facing the back plate as opposed to like air coming in, and like it was just soaked, and I wrung out my helmet, and you could just see all the sweat drip down on the floor. It was disgusting.
Oh yeah, I do that. I have to do that in between periods every time. It's brutal. I remember the old 960s never did that because the foams were so hard. And then when they switched to these new foams, it was just a sponge.
The sweatbands too, they're just as like I go through probably like 4 sweatbands throughout a game, like one for warm-ups, one for each period. They're so terrible, and you can't hear anything either. Like you have to like you ever seen like Forrest Gump? Like when he's yelling at Lieutenant Dan, and he's got like the blown off ear. He's like, you can say whatever you want. He can't hear you. But then he accidentally talks shit to him on the good ear, and then he hears it. That's kind of the same thing like with the Bauer helmets.
Yeah, yeah. I think they fixed the ear placement on, or at least I got one of the new ones this year, and it's way better compared to even the previous models of the 960. They changed the ear holes, so like I can actually like hear now. That's nice.
That is helpful to hear.
But bad at the same time too, because like sometimes it's nice to kind of block it, like the guy behind the bench or like at the timeouts, because that was one of the questions that I did get for the Q&A. Somebody asked if they ever heard or you heard them heckling you behind the bench for a TV timeout. I'm sure you didn't hear it because you had the 960 foams in.
Yeah. No, you definitely hear it, but it's at that point where like if they're going to put effort into to say something about me, I'll take that as a compliment.
I got to ask, Absolutely. What is the best sign, the best heckle job like that you've ever had?
Oh, the heckler job, I can't remember. I think when you're in Maine, man, like in that building, they're literally hanging over top of you.
Yeah.
And it's pretty intense. And in Fort McMurray in the AJ, it's very similar structure to that. And we played there once on Halloween, and we beat them up pretty good. And then after the game, the fans were like yelling at us, and like someone threw like a toy grenade on the ice like at me, and like I kind of freaked out because for a second I was like, holy shit, it's a grenade. And then
you cover with a glove, take one for the team, cover it up.
There's some kid who obviously wasn't a fan of me, but I have a picture from when we played in Merrimack. There's this one kid who like had on a giant sign it just said Civ or something, and he was like right behind the glass the whole time. So then after the game, I just like turned around, I acknowledged him, gave him a nice wave, and they got a picture of it. Might be able to send it to you, and it's pretty funny. He messaged me after, and he's like, He's like, I can't believe he acknowledged me. That was the coolest thing ever. Like, he was just freaking out. He's like, and then all of a sudden he became my fan. And whenever we came to Merrimack, he like changed it from being Civ to like cheering for me.
No, he flipped the sign around and put stud on the back. He X'd out Civ. Dude, that is awesome. You won him over with kindness. Like you were nice to him, you acknowledged him, you made his day, and now he went from a hater to like the guy loves you and he's never gonna heckle you ever again.
Exactly. You just gotta be nice to everyone.
That's all they're looking for is attention. You know, they just want your attention.
Yeah.
So
that is way better than or I guess a better result than the Portillo story he told us last week.
Yeah.
What did you have to say?
So he said he went to Michigan was in Minnesota Duluth, and then I guess because I've heard from a couple different guys that like Duluth is like the worst. Like 2 weeks before games, the Instagram goes on private. You turn everything on, like you just ignore everybody. Because Jamie Phillips, by the way, so Jamie Phillips played at Michigan Tech, NHL draft pick by the Jets, good friend of mine. He was telling me that, you know, they were doing all the dirt digging on Instagram, but like the sisters and the girlfriends and the mothers are putting up signs. And then Portillo told us 2 weeks ago on the podcast, they go to Duluth. These fans do some research. They find this like picture of his sister on his Instagram page, and they blow up like a huge, like a 6 foot by 10 foot sign, and they put it on the glass, and then they start chanting like, "We want your sister" and whatnot. Like they are.
Yeah, his sister was like 15 or something. It was very weird.
That's the part I forgot. That's the part that I forgot.
It was very, very weird move by those fans.
Wow. Yeah, once you throw the age in there, then you get a little cringy. But
yeah,
it's impressive. I know Providence is kind of similar to that.
They do their research.
They have like the whole pamphlets and stuff they set up.
I remember that. They would, and UNH would do it for us. Makes it more fun though. Get a little when the fans are into it.
Yeah, especially when you beat them.
Yeah.
But if you get smoked, it's the absolute worst. Like you can't go over to that corner and look at the guy.
Yeah, that'd be terrible.
Like you ever have a guy that's absolutely ready to rinse you, and he's letting you know you're down like 6 halfway through the third period. They blow the whistle, whatever. And you're like, I'm not skating to that corner. And then you go to the other corner, and there's another guy. It's like I'm just gonna stand in my net and I'll just clear my crease and scoop the snow off or something.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's a tough go. But speaking of tough goes, you know it's not a tough go, Pat. This summer season, it's pool season. You get your Manscaped lawnmower, right, Pat? You got a bush?
Yeah, I have four Manscaped lawnmowers now from Manscaped. So I might even do a giveaway if I'm feeling generous. I don't know, but let me tell you, they each time I get another lawnmower, it feels like it gets better and better. So I don't know if that's true or not, but if you have an older lawnmower, it might be time for a new updated one. And they're there on the website. You know what else I got, and for the first time, was the weed whacker. And if you're, like I say, if you're a real man, a man's man, and you have nose hairs, the weed whacker gets your nose hair too. So they have more options than just the Manscaped lawnmower. They have shampoo, the conditioner, deodorant, and I'm using it all now. I'm just smelling fully like a Manscaped product. So, and I'm living good. I'm living great here. I'm feeling good. If you want one, you can go to manscaped.com and use the code BIZKIT20 for 20% off. You don't have to just get the lawnmower. Feel free to look at what else they have.
Absolutely. And I figure what better than we have to ask Mr. Murray, are you a single or are you a taken man at this moment in time, sir?
I'm a taken man right now.
Oh, okay. How long have you been with the missus for?
Been dating for about a year and a half. Been talking for probably over 2 now.
Okay. So maybe you're at the point where things are getting a little bit stale, right? Maybe the bushes, getting a little bit carefree. We got you covered. We're gonna get Mr. Murray out at Manscaped Lawnmower. We're gonna get him taken. We're gonna get him. We're gonna get him the shears and the shed kit, little travel bag, and the nail clippers and everything. It's gonna be looking fresh. He's gonna feel great. We get him the foot duster too, so his feet don't stink. You go to manscaped.com. Promo code BIZKIT, 20% off. We'll get you taken care of this summer season. What a commercial break. Mr. Murray took care of, his boys. Pat did too, and we're hoping you do as well. That was an amazing commercial break.
Yeah.
Speaking of taking care of your boys, we have some viewers of the week, as always.
Perfect.
So as always, you're watching the YouTube video version, you want to be viewer of the week, you can leave a comment down below. Give us a reason why. We'll pencil you in. You can send me a DM, send Pat a DM, maybe send Matt Murray a DM. Maybe he'll let you know if you want to be viewer of the week. Spotify, YouTube, Apple, we'd love to have you. Anyway, viewers of the week, we have Sean Kelly. We have Tom Pinklington. says that he listens every single week. I screwed up his name, and that's okay. We got Marvin, said he listened to the podcast on his drive home from New Orleans to Nashville. Do you know how far that is, Pat?
New Orleans to Nashville?
Yeah, I don't know how far that is.
It's got to be like 20 hours or something, right? It's got to be a good one.
Maybe crush a full season of episodes.
Yeah. Yeah, probably. No, we've had 52 episodes.
Okay. He's chipping away. He's chipping away.
He's getting there.
We got John, who wanted me to say, Pat, your sense of humor is like a lizard. That's what he wanted me to say.
Does that? What does a lizard do?
I don't know. He said, if Pat asks, he says, quote, if you know, you know. That's exactly what he said right here. I have it in writing.
Hey.
So shout out to you, John Boy. We got Matt Benura, said he recently discovered the podcast and tried it out, loves it. Shout out to you, buddy. We got Reed McDonald, loves the podcast. We got Caden Edwards, Dawson Halley. We got Declan Heine. That's a wicked last name.
Yeah.
And Jacob Jazinski, viewer of the week, because I throw the pod on before bed. I don't know if he leaves it on loop or he just listens to an episode, but shout out to you, buddy. That's our viewers of the week.
Beauties.
Mr. Murray, question for you. Do you travel a lot in the off season? Do you fly? You ever take planes?
In the off season, not a whole lot. Normally I'm just hanging out at home.
Okay. I wanted to get your 2 cents on this. Pat and I were kind of going back and forth a little bit before the podcast started. So I'm flying home from Sweden back to Canada in 11 days, 10 days from right now. Looking forward to it. I'm getting a little bit anxious, getting a little bit nervous. You know, the whole post-pandemic flight security kind of gives me a little bit of anxiety. You know, all the testing, the screening. It's a long day. It's a 24-hour day. And it crossed my mind, of all the things to worry about, I thought, the airport or the airplane security, like the tutorial they give you, like when they start the plane up, they tell you, please remove your headphones and turn your phone on airplane mode. You know, we like to get to listen, and they run you through, you know, in case of an emergency, if we hit the water, there's a life jacket under your seat. There's an oxygen mask above, all this kind of stuff. You know, please put your hands in front of your face, pull down like that. And I thought to myself, like, if you're going 500 miles an hour, 600 miles an hour, you hit the water, you hit a building, like that ain't going to do shit. Like, the life jacket ain't going to help. The oxygen mask, the pulling your hands like this ain't going to help. And Pat brought it to my attention before we started recording, was that insurance-wise, if somebody lives through this, you got to pay them out, right? You got to give them some money for compensation. And if you tell them to, like, hold your head like this, they're all going to, like, snap their necks and die. And you're going to save so much money by not have to pay anybody out. So I was wondering if you had a thought on that, because I was thinking, like, that's genius to avoid insurance claims.
I mean, it does make you think, like, when you're flying when you're going that fast, and airplanes are pretty fragile as it is, there's no airbags or anything, what the heck is going to happen? And then those little seatbelts that you have, like, compared to what you have to put on when you're in a car or anything like that, or you have the pilots, or you see the stewardess or whatever, she locks in the full 5-point harness for takeoff, and I'm like, how come I only get the one belt? I don't know. I could see that being a possibility. I mean, I hope people aren't that sinister where they're just trying to cover their bases like that, but
yeah, you never know. I saw a tweet about that years ago. And I thought I was in shock that it was like the airplane will tell you to, like, do that for that reason. I was like, wow. So then in the back of my head ever since, I'm like, damn, if there's ever a plane crashing, I'm just going to sit there and hope for the best. There's not much though that you can do. It's just luck of the draw at that point.
Take your seatbelt off and enjoy it. Take it all in. Like, what else?
That's one way to go. But nonetheless, I hope you have a safe flight back to Canada.
I hope so too.
You're getting anxiety about your flight, and now you're talking about it crashing. So, safe flight home. That's not likely. Don't worry about the plane crashing.
Okay, here's the thing that gets me, though. Okay, so I know for a fact, like, I'm above the Atlantic Ocean, or, like, all planes go above the Atlantic. But, like, when I'm up there, I see layer 1 of clouds and I see layer 2. But, like, it doesn't register I'm above the ocean. But then I think, like, we start getting, like, a little bit of turbulence, and I'm starting to think, oh, Jesus Christ, today is the day. Shit. What am I going to do? Right? And then
you get scared, yeah?
Honestly, this is a true story. The first time I was ever on a plane, I was 16 years old. I was flying with my mom and my dad from Winnipeg to Vancouver, and I literally pissed my pants at takeoff. I was so scared because, like, you're in the plane, right? Everything's all good, and then just, like, they take off like that, and it was it was scary. It was like a roller coaster, but like indoors.
Yeah, it's
And
not. It's more.
yeah, it
Here's
was
a question that I got then coming off that. What are your thoughts on
okay.
the people that clap when the plane lands?
Oh, I
Oh,
hate
I
that.
think it's the worst thing ever.
You know what else I hate is when the plane lands and when you land, there's a good or when you finally like stop at the terminal or whatever, there's a good like 10 minutes before you're getting off the plane. Immediately everyone just stands up, grabs their bag and stands in the hallway. That I hate when people do that because I'm just sitting there like, all right, you guys are not moving. You're just wasting your energy. Like, and I can see them all like sweating and getting anxiety. Just a pet peeve. So the clappers and those people, not a fan of them.
you know what's even worse though? As a large man myself, I hate airplanes. Like I don't conform to airplanes, but also I can't afford to like sit somewhere else. So I have to sit in like economy and like sit beside 2 or 3 dudes, or like try to weasel my way into like the emergency exit, best case. And like when the doo-doo goes on and like everybody does the 300-meter dash to get their bags, you get like these short people that are putting their elbows out, and then I'm stuck under the thing like this, trying to like not hit my head, and I'm jammed in the seat. It's the absolute worst thing ever.
Big guy problems, eh?
It's a tall guy problem. I'm always here's a little pro tip for you. We'll put this in the podcast because not many people listen outside of Jacob Markstrom. But if you are the last person on the plane, okay, any seat is now yours, right? So like people will pay $50 to like get like pick your seat or whatever. I'm the last one. I sit right by the gate, and they tell me, "Sir, please come on the plane, and we're gonna leave without you." That's my cue. Now I go, and any seat that I see open is now mine, and I save $50, right?
There you go.
Right. Another little hack I got for you, and I like this on the European flights. So when I came over this year, this I planned this out in my mind, and I'm curious for Matt's opinions on this. So I put on the meal preference, I put vegan meal because I was in the little vegan kick for a little bit. Judge me for what you will. I know you're Alberta boy. You know you guys like beef and all that kind of stuff. So I apologize in advance. I like beef too, but just at that moment of time, I was kind of going through a little veggie kick. But I put down like the vegan meal. So the lady comes by, gives me a vegan meal. I just polish it off. I hadn't eaten for the most part that day. Buried it, put it under the seat. A different lady comes by. She's like, "Sir, have you not gotten your meal?" I was like, "No, I haven't. As a matter of fact," gives me a normal meal. Bury that, put it under the seat, and I'm shoving all these like containers like under the seat so you can't see anything. Third lady comes by. "Sir, has nobody gotten to you?" "No." So I get a third meal, and then I go back to each individual one and I rinse them again. I go to the vegan lady, "Ma'am, would I be able to get another one? I'm really hungry." "Sure," gives me two. I go to the regular lady, I go to the other lady. I rinse 6 meals on my flight from Vancouver over to Sweden this year, and I have it on video. I have it on footage.
That just can't be healthy. That's just way too many calories, man.
It is, but
That's
see.
that's
This
good.
is
That's like 6,000 calories. I think you
no. Hold on.
cleaned out on an airplane.
I bury the
That's a
entrees.
lot.
Okay, so the pasta, the veggie salad, I bury all that. The bread, I skip the bread. The desserts, they kind of suck, so I don't really bother with those. And the salad dressing, no salad. I just eat straight like vegetables, like rabbit food, and I shovel it in.
Oh.
And then that's what I do. I figure too, the flight costs like $1,200. They rent you like $300-400 for bags. I'm trying to get my maximum
Yeah.
value. So if I shovel 3 entrees in,
Sure.
we're adding up some value on the clock.
Yeah. You had 6.
6, yes.
That's a lot. That's one per hour. That's good. Speaking of big guy problems, Trav, short guy problems. You wanted to ask about that?
Yes,
eh?
I
About
did want to. Now,
goalies.
little disclaimer here. Not singling anybody out. We love all goalies. You love hockey. You love goaltending. I'm a fan of you. I wanted to ask you, Matt. I'm 6'5". Clearly, I haven't been able to do much in my career with that height. Pat is 5'11", a little shorter guy. You're 6'1", according to Elite Prospects, right? Is that 6'1" on a good day, or is that like an average 6'1"?
That's a good 6'1".
Okay. Have you found, because obviously you went to development camp with Pittsburgh, have you found there's a short goalie thing? Like, if you're a short guy, they won't give you a chance. Like, you need to be a certain height as a prerequisite. Have you found that to be an issue?
I definitely think that teams and scouts have an ideal size that they look for, but I think the game's changing, and you can see it showing, especially in the NHL right now. When you look at how Saros is doing, the guy's 5'10" with shoes on, maybe, and you got Shesterkin, who's barely over 6 feet, who's going to win the the Vezina probably unanimously this year. In fact, he might have been up for the Hart. And you got guys like that are smaller that they do their job. So I don't know. I think there is that stigma too with smaller guys. Like if you're not 6'3", then people are like, okay, well then what can you do instead? But as long as you get the job done, I think most of the time they'll look at you.
You think it's outdated? You think it's an outdated like belief that goalies have to be big?
I think so personally. Obviously, I'm a little bit biased, but I think it just shows with the evidence. Like you got small goalies that can do the job, or not even small, but rather undersized. I think there's advantages to having a bigger goalie, but with a bigger goalie, he's going to have bigger holes. And is my opinion, is what I always say. Like,
that's right.
If his arms are longer, he's reaching more, then there's more room underneath.
That's right. You hear that, Trev? You got big holes, buddy.
I've been told it many times before, not the last.
You got big holes over
dude,
there.
I totally agree. Like, obviously, I'm biased. Like, I'd like the tall goalie stigma to continue on so I can keep playing. So guys are like, oh, you're 6'5", you got to be good. Then they see me on ice and they're like, shit, we already signed him. We can't get rid of him. We already owe him money. But like, I do think that like that's it's getting outdated. Like, as a big guy, like we break down faster. Like you're not like we talked about it last week. 4% of all men are 6'2" or taller. So 96% of all men on this planet are shorter than the NHL requirement to be a quote NHL a quality goaltender. But like you break down like at that age, like I'm like mine, or at that height, like my knees and my hips are fried. And I'm only 25. Like you imagine a guy who's playing like a legit NHL career till 33, 35. Like you're physically fried by the time you're done. You know, like in shorter guys like Matt, I don't mean to call you shorter, but like a shorter guy like Matt, going to be a little more durable. A guy like Saros, even Brody True, way more durable than a guy like me.
I don't know if you could call Matt a shorter guy, though. 6'1" is not a shorter guy. Maybe in terms of goalies, maybe a shorter end goalie. I don't know if that's accurate. But
I'm not calling him shorter.
Being 5'11" and you calling 6'1" a shorter guy, I'm like,
okay, let me clarify. When I hear guys go on the podcast that like Cali playing, you know, all these guys like that are NHL drafted, they're saying like that 6'2" is that minimum, like you need to be 6'3". That's what I'm basing it on. I'm not calling you short because you are a tall guy compared to, you know, the rest of the podcasting crew here. But from what I've been told.
That reminds me of like those TikToks and stuff you see where it's like when you tell a girl you're 5'11" versus 6 feet, and it's just a monstrous difference. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think there's still that bias, and again, there's the differences, and people have their opinions, but I think the game's changing. But like, that's what I was going to bring up with the longevity thing. Like I look at like the tall goalies, like when Dubnyk plays, like he plays a very low stance style. Koskinen plays similar, and like even Vasilevsky, obviously he's a beast, he's a different breed, but like I wonder how that body impact is, like playing that low all the time. Like you're so scrunched over, you're just so deep in your stance, and you can get away with it for being that big, but that's got to put a lot of toll on the body.
Have you noticed, and I found this, like when Jonathan Quick first came on the scene, like he was one of my favorite guys because he's so explosive, like just like violently explosive and powerful. And as the years have gone on, he still has that flexibility and that explosiveness, but he's not using it anywhere near as what he used to, like during those cup runs.
Well, yeah, he's like what now? Early to mid 30s.
I think he's around 35, 36. Yeah, you can't be doing
hips,
that.
Huh?
That's just.
You also lose explosiveness as you get older. Like when he was prime, I think he was like 25 to 30 there. Like those were his prime years. He was like explosive. You start getting to your 30s, like your explosive, like fast twitch muscles are, deteriorate. They're not as quick as they were. So I mean that could be why. Probably why. He's just kind of wearing his body down and getting older.
I heard a story. Oh, sorry.
That's right.
I was just going to say that as well. I heard a story from Cole Keller, Winnipeg Jets organization. This is like years ago. He told me he was training with Quick in the summer or whatever. And he told me apparently this guy will literally walk into the gym, no warm up, no stretch, stone cold, and squat 400 pounds, like ass to grass, 400 pounds, can do a full splits just like that when he walks into the gym.
Yeah, he's a beast.
A machine.
Who's that?
Jonathan Quick, Johnny's Pizza.
He can just not warm up and squat 400 pounds.
Cold turkey.
You think he can still do that?
To grass.
Walk in the gym.
That went.
He might pull a hip of.
Hold on, I'm trying to do some math here. So we're 2022. He told me that story in 2015, 2016, I think. No, yeah, 2016. So that would have been 6 years ago. So probably maybe not anymore. Maybe like 300 pounds, but I don't know. That's just like my theory.
That is impressive.
Anyway, this podcast has been fun. I want to ask one, maybe two final questions before we cap off. We're going to keep it a little shorter here today. So I put up the Q&A tab on Instagram, and there was a lot of people that were asking questions like as if like you were like the Ottawa Senators, Matt Murray. And I was wondering, would you be willing to answer some of these questions? They're very harsh questions to like the other Matt Murray, but maybe you can help us kind of problem solve here.
All right, let's do it.
Okay. How did you fix your glove hand problem in Pittsburgh?
Wow. That's a tough one, it was something I was definitely working on a lot. And I think just working on extra tracking on off the ice is what helped.
How tough was it watching Marc-Andre Fleury take over the starting job in the playoffs, but only for you to take it back against the Ottawa Senators in Game 3?
Hey, it's a dog-eat-dog world out there. We're all trying to do our business. We're all trying to win games.
Do you think people confuse you with the Matt Murray at UMass Amherst?
All the time.
Did they actually ask that?
That's who asked that question?
That has to be a joke.
Elliot.
Right?
Elliot asked that question. What was it like hoisting the cup back-to-back years over your head?
Oh, it was a dream come true, and they say one's a week, two's a streak.
How much money does Vaughn pay you to wear their equipment? Actually, he's not a Vaughn guy anymore, so I guess that's not a valid
obviously
question.
not enough.
Yeah,
clearly. Before we cap off, we should talk about the Will Smith slapping.
Yes, we'll do the Will Smith, yeah. But why did you fall off so bad and so quick when you came to Ottawa?
The rink's in a different location compared to where Pittsburgh is. I thought it was a little bit colder and not too good with the cold.
It's a tough commute. It's the mileage.
Yeah. There's not enough vitamin D. And vitamin D is testosterone and energy. That makes sense to me.
Is it really?
That. Yeah. Well, vitamin D is actually, it does. If you have low vitamin D, it can be linked to low testosterone. Yeah. That's actually a true thing.
Yeah. Oscars this past weekend. Chris Rock makes a G.I. Jane joke to Will Smith's wife, Jada Smith, who has, let's say, not been faithful to her man. At least it's out in the media that she hasn't. And Will Smith is caught laughing immediately and then looks over at his wife, gives him a dirty look, and then gets up, goes up, smacks him across the face, turns around, goes back. Chris Rock looks at the camera and says, "Will Smith smacked the shit out of me." And then, keep your wife's name out of my mouth. Thoughts?
Yeah, he was pissed.
Can we also talk about can we talk about the remix track first, though?
Well, yeah, there's a ton of remixes going around of like, keep your wife's name.
Can I play it? Can I play this on the microphone first?
Sure, if you want. You might get copyrighted.
Oh my God, Matt! Listen, you are gonna love this.
Yeah,
okay, are you ready for the hottest mix of the summer 2022? Listen to this.
Keep my wife's name out your mouth. Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me.
It does go. Yeah, I want to bring it up because I think in the terms of like jokes that comedians tell and like whatnot, it was a pretty mild joke. And I saw Trav commenting on the Spittin' Chicklets Instagram. Shocking, I know. Trav commented on the Spittin' Chicklets Instagram. And he said, like, "Yup, good for Will. Like, I'd do the same thing for my woman." Like, just fully backing what Will did. And personally, I thought he was kind of being soft, and they were being a little soft by being so offended by that joke. What would your opinion be of that, Matt?
When I think about that, I think immediately to that Chris D'Elia piece where like he's talking about how it's weird how people get offended at what comedians say, and he's like, "You want to know why? We're joking."
Yeah.
I don't know. I think a lot of people get worked up about a lot of things nowadays. And I think it's a little bit unnecessary. At the end of the day, it's a joke. Like it's not like he was being literal, like shitting on her, so to say. It was bad. But then I also saw this thing on the internet, and it was like this guy, like conspiracy thing of like this whole thing was planned because like no one watches the Oscars anymore. No one cares about the Oscars. And next thing you know, Will Smith slapped Chris Rock, and now everyone's talking about the Oscars again. And like this whole like conspiracy thing about how it was planned.
I guess you never know. What's your take? Do you think it's real or do you think it was fake? You think it was, or not fake because he did slap him, but I guess staged. Do you think it was staged?
I don't know. I don't think it was staged. I mean,
It doesn't feel it.
It's Chris Rock and Will Smith. Like if they
Yeah.
wanted to stage something, I think they could do something a little bit more vibrant. Yeah, it was. I thought it was a little bit off of that kind of reaction.
Yeah. My take was that it was a joke and it felt pretty mild. Like you can say some pretty offensive jokes. That didn't feel like everyone's like, oh, she has a medical condition, but it's like I looked up what this medical condition was, and it's simply just going bald, which I'm pretty sure half of guys go bald, right? So you're a guy like in the locker room, your teammates going up to you and giving you shit about going bald, you know?
They do. Yep.
So I don't know.
To be completely honest, I had an experience with alopecia over the summer where I had like a patch like right behind my ear that was like gone, and I got some treatment for it, and it's all back and it's all grown back now. It was like an 8-month thing, and now it's good. But like at the moment, like it did suck because I was like, wow, like I'm 23 years old and I'm balding right now. Like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
And then you realize what it is, and it's just like your body thinks like your hair is like a foreign object in your body, and it just tries to get rid of it. So you just have to take like, I was just getting like a different type of steroid injection there, and the hair just grew back, and everything's been fine since. I mean, I can see why people get offended because it's like it's a medical condition. She can't control it. It's not like her choice. Like, it's a joke, and like you said, it wasn't that harmful.
This is perfect. You've actually like experienced this, so this is a perfect like take on it. Like, so
just out of curiosity, asking for a friend, what kind of procedure did you get? Maybe curious.
Trav needs some hair.
It was just like injections. Like they just put some stuff in a needle and poke me around a couple times in the area. I did like 3 or 4 different times, like once a month, and all done.
Is that in Alberta or is that in the U.S.?
No, I was here. Okay.
Because I noticed when I was 19, started to kind of, go back a little bit. Kind of my hair's running away from me, and I got Propecia. Like it's like a quarter tablet, and taking it like every single day for like 3 years, and it stops the balding, but it doesn't fix it. So like my hairline's like set like right now. But if I stop taking it, they tell you, oh, it's just gonna go back even faster. So like they catch you with that. So maybe I'll have to try your method because I like my hair. I got a really ugly shaped head. Like when I go bald, it's not pretty. My woman was trying to convince me last night. She's like, "Oh, you look really good bald." I'm like, "No, I do not look good bald."
Yeah, if I lose my hair, I lose my hair. But that one was just like a weird little spot, and I was like, okay, like this is obviously not natural. So
for sure, then you would have to shave it because of the one spot. That's interesting, but well, that's perfect then, because then you've experienced it, and then you're like, all right, so they're just joking. I feel like you have like a experience. So then you can kind of your opinion is better than mine or Trav's. I feel like.
Yeah, so. I mean it's a joke. I've heard a lot worse jokes, and you guys both know some of the chirps that go on in the locker room or whatever. Like, if those went out in public, those could be a lot more harmful than.
Oh boy.
Yeah, no.
You think Twitter's bad?
Yeah. I wish this like the soft world on like Twitter could hear like a sports game and like what is said between people, and it's just people just shake it off and move on. It's not I feel like if they heard the shit that was said between us, they'd be like, wow, and just freak a shit. But
my woman was asking me probably like a good month ago. She says to me, like, we're FaceTime, and she says like, what do you guys talk about in the locker room? Like, what's like an actual conversation like? I'm like, do you really want to know? She's like, yeah, I want to be a part of the locker room for a second. I'm like, well, so one of the guys did this and, was out with a lady, and she's like, oh, I hate men. And I'm like, that's what we talk about. We talk about these kind of things all the time.
You know what? They do too. They do too, though. Girls talk about guys and what they do with us and what they want to do. They rate us too. You know what I mean? They're hypocrites. They just don't want to hear it about themselves.
But see, you know what I think the difference is though? So she told me, like when she was playing like university soccer and stuff, like the girls would never look at each other in the shower. You just like looked like head down, kind of like when you're trying to avoid somebody. Like at least for me, maybe I'm the odd duck out. Like when the fellows go in the shower, like you get the slides on, like you're sizing each other up, like, hey, John, is it cold in there or what? Like, man, you might have to shave. Like, look at that thing. It's like Osama bin Laden's beard over there. Like you're just conversing about things, and we're staring. We're making conversation. We're having a good time in the shower. Past the poo, we're making eye contact. We're having a good time. Agree or disagree?
Well, about junk talk, there's a lot of junk talk in the shower for sure. Just the way it goes. Trav, I feel like are you the guy who's always talking about everyone's piece?
I am. The best story I got for you this year, one of the guys, our Czech guys, I was bugging him because like he hadn't seen his woman for I guess 2 months or whatever. And like while I'm away, I like to run a tight ship. I don't like to let myself get too out of hand or too unruly. But he had, and I made fun of him. And he says, "Trav, look at this." And he my dad's gonna turn the podcast off here. He took like his ball sack skin and folded it back over everything, and used his nuts to like form like a bat, right?
Have you never seen that? Like,
well, he did it in a way that looked exactly like a bat from my perspective, and I got a front row seat the whole time.
Yeah, there's nothing like a front row seat to someone's sack, looking like a bat. I'm jealous, honestly. You got to see that.
But speaking of front row seats, we'd like to thank Mr. Murray for coming on the podcast. It was a pleasure, my friend. This actually turned out way better than I thought. We barely even exchanged DMs. I was like, oh shit, we might have a guy where I have to like talk to a tree for 30 minutes. This was great. This was fun. We have a new podcast every Sunday at, what time are we going again? We're going at 11 a.m. Eastern. Too many pucks up there. 11 a.m. Eastern, midnight in China. We'd love to see you for the new podcast. Spotify, Apple, YouTube. Mr. Murray, any final closing comments?
Just thanks for having me. I enjoyed it. Good laughs. Nice meeting you guys. Obviously, Pat, I've crossed paths with you a few times, but never been able to have a conversation, so enjoy it.
Absolutely. You as well. Appreciate you coming on, man. It was fun.
Yeah, go toss him a follow. Matt Murray on Twitter, maybe, or Twitter, Instagram. Well, I'll throw something in the on the video description notes. You want to give him a follow. We would love to support Matt in any way we can. We love the Western Canadian boys over here.
Awesome. Thanks.
Good stuff.
There we go. That's the podcast. That was good. That was sharp.